Hey everybody, welcome to It's Just Bodybuilding, episode 93. We're back. Dusty Hanshaw is here with me. Couldn't be happier.
Back in business, man.
Back in black too, I see.
Dylan, you son of a bitch.
Is that for me?
I went all in. Well, I mean, you cheat death. You gotta rock.
I love it. What's the shirt say?
Well, this is one of my new ones that I haven't put up yet because of my near-death thing. It says, fuck attention, earn respect. But, of course, fuck isn't spelled out because that's weird. It's just got a little skull where the U goes.
A little Punisher skull. I like it.
Exactly.
And then is that a new DH hat? The black on black DH hat?
Yes.
God damn. I think I need one of those.
Yeah, well, I got the website finally because I organized the whole thing to have the website built. And then I took a nap for a month. And then I came back. And it was so funny. I had people like, do you have shirts yet? And I'm like, I have like $4,000 of T-shirts in my bedroom. I'm like, yeah, I should probably get that going.
I've been busy.
Been busy sleeping, so
busy,
but it's good, and I'm stoked because since we've been gone for so long, we don't really have to cover it. Everybody knows what happened, so we can just get back to business.
Yeah. I was just gonna say, like, do we need just a 1 minute cleanup? Do we just need a hey? I almost died, and then it got worse, and then it got better, and now I'm here again.
Yeah, I mean that's pretty much all it needs to be. It's funny because I am posting about it, but not about that, just about the, kind of coming back and what's going on. And it's so weird because even I'm like, man, you're walking that line of like, we got it, bro. We got it. You're frozen on my end. What the hell happened? There you go, you're back.
That's okay. I was just
frozen.
You're
back. But yeah, so now it's, it's good because a lot of people are understanding that it's not all it's about is if you were down with any injury, anything that kind of puts you out, which is good because I got a lot of people responding and saying, yeah, I'm coming back from something. The only downside is because when I was laid prone at some point, they somehow positioned my neck in a way, which before anybody gets confused, there's no way for them to know. Like They can't know, like I can't turn to them and go, this isn't comfortable in a coma. So it's actually compressed a couple discs, which I can't remember which ones they are. But it's causing this right side to not be fully functional, which is funny. It's the same one that I had when I was with Mutant when we first started. So,
oh yeah, I remember you getting that work done.
Yeah, it's been. Yeah. I mean, it's not a huge deal. It'll take a little bit of time. But my right hand doesn't function quite as well right now. And the only thing that's a little weird is, and it's funny because it seems like to me that I got out of the hospital 6 years ago.
Right.
And then the other day I was in the gym and I literally just checked for some reason. I was like, oh, it's been 16 days. It literally seems, you know how your brain does. It's after a show, right? When you get done with a show, you're 3 weeks down the line and you're like, oh yeah, I competed a while ago. And someone's like, yeah, it was
20 days ago. Yeah. Yeah. So it makes you wonder if your perception of time is a little messed up because you were sort of checked out for a month. So now your brain's recording time at a different speed.
Yeah, well, it's just weird because you just, I think you just have shit to do. And it's like anything, and a lot of people are looking for a deep meaning of what did you see? What happened? And other than a refreshed view on life, it's all good. People have real problems. And obviously this was a scary issue, but now that I'm out of it, it's thanks docs. Get back to work.
Yeah, no, that's cool. I've been watching the posts and I like the one you put up the other night on the preacher curl.
Yeah,
I could tell you jacked up a little bit for sure. How much was it? 27 pounds now?
Just over 20, 22.
22, awesome.
Yeah, but it's funny because truthfully the look is still terrible. It's so. It's funny because I said that and people are like, oh, 250. But it's not the same 250. I've been 250 where I looked full and big, and even 230 when I came out of the hospital. It's but you don't understand. Literally, all the muscle emaciated away, and when you don't move for a month, and that's the other thing that's been nice. So is I've had people say, "Oh man, I'm getting a surgery. I'm gonna lose all that size." I'm like, no. You're up. You're eating. it's your shoulder. If you keep everything else moving, you're going to lose a little bit, but not bad. I think just people really underestimate exactly the fact that A, you're not moving, and B, they're literally feeding you enough to not die. It's like 1,000 calories in those tubes that they give you a day. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
So it's been good. I mean, like I'm actually stoked at the fact that it's allowed for questions like that, and for me to be like, no, man, I've had surgeries. And the only thing I ever had when I got surgeries back in the day is I get fat because I was depressed. Some shit.
So I got to ask you one question just because we haven't chatted about it in a while. Is the trach healed shut yet?
Yeah.
So it's closed up?
Yeah, it literally looks like a cut. Like somebody just, they did a really good job on it.
We were talking the other day. Someone's like, Dusty's going to get a tattoo there, isn't he?
You know what's funny? It's so small. I mean, I guess what was weird was when I first got it, and I think when we were on the show, it would still whistle. Like it had a hole in it, and it looked like a cigar burn.
Yeah.
And for whatever reason, which is funny, because I'm not ashamed to admit, like I don't like things that look terrible. I never even thought about it. I think I was just so like whatever, not dead. So, I just walk around with it just hanging out. Oh, and now that it's gone, it's funny because it literally looks like a cut. Like I think I would have to tell someone what it was at this point, because if not, they might assume I cut myself shaving. I mean,
they say I got stabbed in the throat once.
Yeah, it happens. You know what I mean? I got mouthy about dinner being burnt, and she freaking shaved.
It's a steak knife.
Oh, you had to bring the steak, huh?
Yeah, there you go. No, man, I'm happy we're back. I also want to thank the, people that watch our show and listen. Obviously, thank them for the immense support of you personally. I mean, everyone was so amazing, but also too, like I got a lot of support. Like, people were so concerned about you that they were concerned about your friends.
I like this.
And I wanted you to know that. Man. So yeah, and just the show, like everyone was like, oh, don't worry, like, don't worry, take as much time as you need. Like I got messages from people that are like, I don't care if you guys aren't on for a couple months. As soon as you're on, I'll watch you again. Like, that sort of thing. And also too, I was a little bit like, holy fuck, like what am I gonna do? So I did like the show with Paul and the show with Fuad, which were also really good for just, keeping the fans happy and giving them
staying alive. I mean,
just kind of staying alive. So thanks to those guys, obviously, for coming on. And obviously you were talked about. I know you don't watch the show, but you should. Those 2 episodes were pretty interesting.
I wasn't there for those 2. I should watch those 2.
Yeah, those you literally weren't there for those 2. You were like that's time that didn't exist to you. So you should watch those 2. It might be kind of weird and eerie to hear like day 12 of Dusty being out. So yeah. So anyways, just thanks to everyone, and I'm glad we're back. So what else is going on? The new world, like onward and upward. What's going on now? What's next?
I mean, now it's
just got back from a trip, didn't you?
Yes. Well, no, I'm not even back. I'm still in South Carolina. Yeah. I came out here because it was a little overwhelming at home. Yeah. Scottsdale is a very small, big city. Mm-hmm. And I literally know everyone. So it was almost overwhelming to live there for a little while because it was so fresh. Like I go to coffee and like the Starbucks girl would be crying. And I'm so glad you're still here. And I'm like, I just want a coffee. It's too early for this. And I mean, and you appreciate, like, don't get me wrong.
Oh yeah. You feel weird though. You feel like,
it's just constant.
Too much attention.
Yeah. And I'm like, I like the fact that at home, one thing I love, and you know this, especially when you're heavy, which I'm obviously not now, but when you go somewhere different and you walk into like a grocery store, especially if you're in like a tank top, everyone's like looking at you. At home, no one gives a shit. They've seen you for so long, from small to big, so no one even cares. So it's a little weird to be reversed. Out here, I don't even know. I mean, literally, especially now, like I'm just in there. I go to the gym. No one cares. No one talks to me. And it's kind of nice, but it's been good. But now the only thing I'm really doing is clients have, number one, my clients pretty much stayed. I had some that went because they had to with competing and things like that. And I've got a bunch of new ones already. So it's been very fortunate. and I want to say what I hopped in there and helped Dan Stein win a couple of shows back to back. I had a few of those, man.
Yeah,
came
and
through.
yeah, so I was real happy when Dan called me and he's like, "Hey, would you help me?" I was like, "Fuck yeah, let's go. We got to win these shows. Glutes for Dusty."
You know what made
So
me laugh
we,
though is I was literally like, man, I wish if all of my clients went to you, it would be like they went to me.
well, it was pretty easy
Guy is
transition.
pretty much the same way. I'm sure you looked at it, you're like, oh, this is
Well,
basically
the very first, yeah, the very first thing I said was send me what you're doing. And
right.
he sent it to me, and my first response was, "Okay, no changes." It was like, it was, and then I felt I was like, that was such an Aceto move. That was that was classic Aceto. Just
Yeah.
here you're okay. Yeah, you're gonna coach me now. Yeah. What do I do? Don't change anything.
Yeah. Well, then you gotta watch and see what happens after a week or so of seeing him on your own.
Yeah.
So I did that
He
anyway.
he looked great when he came to me. Like the corners were in on the glutes and stuff. He just needed the ripple chip look.
Just had to keep going. You turn it into walnuts. That's all.
Yeah, yeah. And I think he was already 211. So
Right.
I mean the first show he was like 203, and then the second show we got into he was 203 and had to drop down, like, water down to light heavy, and then so we just dieted him some more and got him so he was a light heavy hydrated.
Right.
He didn't even have to drop water to make light heavy, just stepped on the scale. And then now you know how easy it is to peak when that's the case, when you're not even dehydrated yet. So then that's why he looked so great at the juniors. And congrats to Cole.
Yes.
Hey?
Yeah, he looked wacky too.
Looked wacky, so that was awesome just to see, people step up. And
I had a lot of that, man. It's kind of cool, like you said. I mean, it's funny, but so I come to, and then Tommy has taken a bunch. You had obviously taken Dan, Cole, and a couple. I have two other guys. Cole went to Matt, and then Ben actually is with one of my guys that we had finished with. And when I came, essentially when I came back, so to speak, I was literally like, "We'll just keep going." Like,
yeah.
You just, I know your show's in 6 weeks, but you guys are on a roll now. Just finish. And he's competing in 2 weeks, Irwin, and he looks nuts. I mean, Ben's absolutely bringing him in perfectly. So it's going to be fun because, man, if somebody can beat him, then they brought it. So I don't see him not winning. And if he doesn't, then some really real bodybuilder showed up, which is awesome.
Yeah, hey, I'm happy we can actually talk about bodybuilding again. What do you think of Akim?
You know what's crazy? And again, based on pictures, like it shows you how bad pictures are. Because from the pics, and forgetting about order, just watching him on stage, I actually thought Hassan had a shot, and he got third.
Right.
So, it just shows that if you're not there, and Akim looked great. I couldn't tell because of the pictures I saw if he was as good as he was at the Olympia.
I don't think he was quite as hard.
Right.
Yeah, but the gobs of muscle thing is that he was still harder.
Down.
Yeah, he was still harder than Hassan. So you know what I mean?
Right.
And then what's the guy that got second?
I don't know his name actually because I was literally Kenny just posted him if you want to find it because I guess Kenny Wallach is posing.
Boom, Kenny Wallach. Oh yeah. Oh, Mohammed Shaban, the guy that was just on Fuad's show.
Yep.
Yeah, he looked fantastic. So,
but again, you know what I think it is too. Like when I even look at that picture that he posted, I feel like Hassan's midsection is a square. It's not that he's blocky; it's that these guys have that taper. And there's a difference between being blocky and not having a drastic taper. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it does make a difference. Like I can see it in this front double here. It's pretty hard to stand next to Akim and that guy that got second.
Muhammad, yeah.
Yeah, Muhammad, because the V taper is, it's pretty noticeable. But the funny thing is Hassan's almost got big enough quads that it makes up for it.
Yeah, that's the thing is his muscle is so round. Legs, arms. Literally, because I saw him in Vegas when I went down to Flex's gym, and he's just round.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It kind of and I love this, but it's like you want to show people that don't understand that there's levels to this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because they see someone like you when you're 330 pounds or peeled out of your mind for show, or myself, and they're blown away, and they're like, oh, if I could show you like a really good bodybuilder, you'd really freak out.
Like the round balloony muscle belly guys.
Yeah, I mean, and Akim is just. I don't think most people realize, and I don't even know. Have you competed against Akim before?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Okay,
he was
so
in my class at the North Americans.
Yeah, so when he
and like
when he's standing in front of you, like facing away, his lats fold on top of each other because there's nowhere to go.
Yeah, so Akim was one of the few guys, and I could probably name a few, but there were a lot of guys that I competed against that went on to be good bodybuilders and like do Olympias. Right? Like I competed against Frank McGrath and like
Fuad,
Ben Pekulski, all those guys. And like, I actually beat Ben one year, the year I won my class. Like these guys were really good, right? But I still backstage, I was like, okay, this guy's awesome, but I think I might be able to beat him.
Right.
But then there's a couple guys where you see them backstage and you're like, this is a pro qualifier show, and this guy is a joke.
Right.
Like, there's no one beating him, and we all know it.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And that was Akim at the North Americans. He was just standing there, and all the other super heavies, and these are like, this is North Americans. There's like, what, 30 supers in that class?
I think I did that show with you.
Yeah, and like everyone, like, oh, fuck, okay.
And that year Lockett was in it too, to give people an idea.
And Lockett was there too, and everyone's like, nah, Lockett might be second.
Yeah, it's too much. That's like it was the same when I competed with Jason Ha. Like that was 2010 when he was posting all those crazy pictures, and you're just like, well, there's gonna be a lot of guys shooting for second.
Yeah, Akim's a hell of a bodybuilder, man. So no surprise that he's going to the Olympia. It's. Did I tell you what's going on here, Dusty? Our heat wave?
You should cover it for those who didn't know, because I saw it online already. And of course, you guys with your weird numbers, or us Americans with our weird numbers, I'm like 41. What the hell does that mean?
Yeah. So we have a heat wave right now, and it's like a super shock to everyone, because I don't know when the last time we had these temperatures in Vancouver. I've certainly never seen them. But it's we had 41 yesterday Celsius, and we're going to be 43 today, which is like 106 Fahrenheit yesterday, and it'll be like
5.8.
Yeah, and then what's 43 Celsius?
I'm pulling these up because I'm a weirdo that needs to know, because I laughed because you put something up there about that, and I'm like, it's going to be worse. Yeah, 109.4, so 110. Yeah.
So for us, that's like people are fucked up. They're like, oh shit, this is going to be bad. Like.
Well, I think somebody
died yesterday.
Like you don't have like the word like, and I hate when people say this in Arizona anyways, but you don't have dry heat either, so it's nasty.
Yeah, it's pretty fucking hot. And so the gym, I mean, we got the tinted windows and the giant fans and the big bay doors and the air blowing through there, but we don't have AC, so it's still like 90 in the gym Fahrenheit. So everyone's sweating it up in there. It's pretty hot, but we're just not used to it. Like. People were coming up to me yesterday at the gym, and they're like, this is unbelievable. I can't believe how hot this is. And I was like, this isn't anywhere as close as Arlington Metroflex when I was there.
Oh, yeah.
Arlington Metroflex, it was 118 Fahrenheit when I left at 1 in the afternoon or 2 in the afternoon.
Yeah, and it's also like 90% humidity.
Yeah, it was insufferable. It was a physical and mental challenge to shoot that video from the very beginning to the very end. And that was probably the hottest training environment, like the most unhospitable training environment I've ever experienced.
You were fighting two devils. You had gravity and you had temperature.
Gravity and temperature, and a camera on me, so I couldn't be a pussy.
Yeah, and that's when you got to make sure you're doing. I mean, like your drinks with the sodium and.
Oh yeah, I was putting salt in Gatorade and drinking it.
Yep. You have to. I mean, it sounds funny to people, but yeah, I mean, I can't imagine, because I've trained in your gym in a normal summer heat. And I sweat like crazy anyways. And I'm like, this is brutal, because at home, you know, it could be 110 outside, but the gym is 76.
Yeah, they're all.
Like, we got air conditioning.
Yeah, you guys can't even sort of like. Do you have any gyms there that like don't AC in the winter and open the doors and stuff?
Yeah, we can do that.
Yeah, you can do that. So, but most gyms are AC'd all year long, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
My gym is small, and we have a small version of your big door.
Right.
We open up in the winter. That's nice, but yeah, I mean the AC is the AC, and it's weird because you adapt to the summer like cold places do to the winter. Like when I get done training, I start my truck from inside. I wait like 6 or 7 minutes. Then I walk outside and I have to deal with the heat until I open the door of the truck and get in. And I'm like, good. We're back in the 70s.
That's funny. I can't get my auto start to work.
That's a code red. You need to get that handled.
I think I might actually have to read the fucking manual. Do I not have it like turned on or activated or I don't know. I don't know.
So mine, Toyota's, it's an app. So it's on my phone. It's not even
so I downloaded the app, but I haven't totally fished through it yet.
Yeah, do the app because it's
probably
awesome.
In there.
You could start your car. Like I could start your truck from here.
Yeah. It's not like a
there's no distance situation here at all.
Yeah.
You know, someone unlocks your car. Like if you were at home, like it's funny because I leave my truck at my mom's house and I had a guy come to wash it and he came early. And I text my mom's boyfriend. And I was like, oh, the guy came early. And he's like, oh, did he text you? I was like, no, he opened my car. Because I literally get a thing on my phone. It's like, dude, driver door open. And I'm like, oh, he must be washing my car.
Right. Yeah. See, I just opened that app and I got to finish putting all my info into it. I guess that'll help.
Yeah. Do the app.
It's funny, though. I don't really think to use auto start here because I only use that in the winter when I lived in Alberta. But now
eat it because it's fucking hot.
Now it's fucking hot. Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I got a chest workout planned today, so we'll see how it goes.
What did you? I got to ask because we didn't even cover it. What do you think of the 212?
Oh, everyone looks so good, man. Yeah. You know what I mean?
I was actually stunned though. I thought Guy was going to win. I really did. Even though I like the other guy's rear double better, I thought Guy was going to win.
Right.
I assumed based on Guy's silence that he thought he was going to win as well because he hasn't posted anything.
Right.
But yeah, after prejudging, I was like,
I saw Guy's glutes were all peeled in and he looked good and everything.
He looked like old Guy. Like it sounds funny, but like after he got sick, remember when he had that like those burns coming through his skin?
Oh yeah.
Like he, in my opinion, never looked the same.
Right.
And I kind of like, in my brain, I mean, and this is knowing Guy, I still was like, well, it's kind of Twilight time. You know what I mean?
Right. Well, yeah, he's an older dude too.
Yeah. And then he comes out with this showing and I'm like, oh, you're still in your prime.
Yeah, you look good.
Like he was blown out. His chest was huge and full, waist small, hams dropping. I mean, yeah, I was impressed. I mean, I hate to go on about one competitor in a show, but I guess it was because of my own faulting of essentially writing him off as the winner that I was just so impressed,
I looked at RX, they don't have a good 212 picture up. I can't remember where I saw all the 212 pictures.
I looked at Wings of Strength. They did
Wings of Strength.
Good covering of it. And I actually don't know how to say the guy who won's name.
Because I saw all the 212 comparison photos. I just can't remember what website it was on.
Yeah, if you go to Wings of Strength, they've got some.
There's a good video.
I guess, I mean, when you really look at if you get into the pictures, like I can definitely see, how. So it's not like, oh, I think he got screwed or anything. The guy who won has a better shape, better taper. He also looks to have really long arms, which I think when you have a big arm, a long arm is impressive. You know what I mean?
Right. I'm just looking. Oh yeah, this is the photo I saw. It was Wings of Strength. Yeah, see, I liked Guy's legs a little better than this other dude that looks like he has really long arms. It's an interesting class though. The guy that got third was pretty sharp. Is that the guy who got third? Yeah, he looked good too. So I don't know. I was just happy to see Guy on stage again, and happy to see 212 happening, and happy to see a bodybuilding show and Olympia qualifications being dished out, and
it almost feels normal again, except for if you live in Canada.
Yeah, it's funny. I noticed. One thing I can't I don't know if I just don't have time for it or whatever, but I sometimes let stuff play in the background.
Right.
Rarely do I intentionally click on many other podcasts, but they'll just play through and I might hear a clip from someone, and whenever I hear them being critical of bodybuilders, and even good critical's required. So obviously there's a certain amount, but when guys are like, oh, I don't know, fuck, I think he needs more legs. I'm sort of at a point now, because I'm looking back on so many years of bodybuilding, where I just don't feel like criticizing pro bodybuilders anymore.
Right.
I realize what it takes. I realize how hard they all work. Everyone's got genetic limitations that basically 90% of the effort that bodybuilders are putting in is battling against genetic limitations. You know what I mean? And we might have a crazy physique, but you spend 90% of your time thinking about that one body part. You're like, fuck, I gotta bring that up.
Right.
And so when guys are like, oh, this guy needs more, guy needs more arms, or this guy needs more delts, I'm like, yeah, they probably know that. And they're probably busting their ass. Yeah, that's the part that I just got tired of, is they already know that. They've already had judges and training partners and girlfriends and wives and buddies and everyone tell them what their weak point is.
And mirrors.
and photos and judges. And they've already devised arm training strategies to try to bring them up. And they're sending emails to people, and they're working with trainers, and they're asking advice. And I know what everyone does. It's all the same stuff I did to try to fix problems the whole time. And it's so much effort that I just want to appreciate the effort at this point.
I always find it funny too, though, in reverse. Using myself as an example, I love when people would hammer me for my triceps and be like, he's loading his triceps. I'm like, well, then why don't I load my shitty biceps?
Right. Why don't I fix my other problems? Yeah. Quit picking on my best.
Very easy to load.
Quit picking on my best genetic body part and telling me that it's fake. Why are you not making fun of me for my biceps?
Exactly. My arms and my biceps are terrible. By all means, point it out.
Yeah, I know what you mean. It's I don't know. I just felt like saying that because you hear guys I'm just tired of that.
On that note is and I don't know. I mean, it's probably just realization, but I used to get that on Instagram. I'd get 100 comments on a post, and then one guy would say something negative, and I would always answer him immediately.
Right.
I was fighting him, you know what I mean? And it's funny because, number one, you're going to give your time to the guy that's hating on you versus the 99 people that are supportive. That makes you a moron.
Yeah.
But the other thing is I just realized now I do one of two things, depending on what they say. I delete their comment, or I just delete them.
Yeah.
I block people like it's nothing now. I'm like,
yeah,
block.
As you should.
I've realized the amount of why put any energy in a negative?
And you're doing them a favor.
Boom. Obviously you don't want to see me. So cool. You don't have to anymore. I helped you. You're welcome.
I actually think you're doing them a favor. If everyone blocked them, they would have nowhere to spew their negative bullshit, and they'd have to deal with it themselves.
Well, I don't know if you saw yesterday, actually, Rob Bailey put up a post because I didn't see the initial, but he had posted something and someone threw negative shit at him. So Rob put up a follow-up post and he just said, I have to tell you, you cannot be successful if in the middle of a day on a Sunday, what you're doing with your time is talking shit on other people's posts. And he goes, and understand when I'm talking about successful, you could be rich. You could be financially successful, but you are not a successful person if that's what you're doing with your time.
Right.
And he said, on the flip, you can be broke, but be with a good family and a good life and doing your thing. And I can consider you successful. He's like, and he literally said, to the guy, feel free to reach out to me so we can talk this out, because you're in a bad place and I feel bad for you.
Right.
That you're coming at me, and he's like, on a summer Sunday afternoon, this is what you choose to do with your time. And it was so funny because that's how, and I don't know where it came from. Maybe I just grew up overnight, but it's like, I used to like sometimes just getting in the dirt and fucking with people, but I realized it's just a waste of energy. Now it's just like, goodbye. I mean, sometimes I'll laugh because the people who are talking shit about me don't even follow me. They literally find my page, and then I'm like, well, I really don't need you. I can just block you easily now.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, so I'm with you on that. Like, sometimes there's just so much negativity in the world. It's like, do we need any more? Like, trust me, Ben Pekulski knew in his prime that he could use a thicker back. And I promise you, he's training as hard or harder than you are, trying to obtain that. It's just not happening.
Actually, he's a great example because he was one of those dudes that was like consulted with every possible expert he could find, and you know what I mean? Like, so he's like a good example of taking that to the extreme,
Yeah.
So, which should be proof that, like, people say, people out there, they think you can fix any problem.
Right.
It's like, no. It's like, if Ben couldn't get a Ronnie Coleman back, then there are such thing as genetic limitations.
Right. Yeah. I mean, truthfully, it's funny though, because everyone understands that you can't make yourself taller, but for some reason it's unheard of that there's muscles that just won't alter.
Yeah.
It's like, well, it's also genetics. I mean, I don't care. You can make something better, or you can tap into, and all of a sudden something that you thought was weak can change.
Yeah.
But if you've done every possible thing, which I think most pros who have a weakness, they're not
tried everything,
ignoring it. They're not just like, I just won't. So that'd be like me. I just don't train biceps because they suck.
Right.
So I don't train at all.
Yeah.
It's a little asinine.
Hey, what's going on, guys? Thanks for watching another podcast here at Think Big Bodybuilding Media. And thank you to our great sponsor, TrueNutrition.com, for making this all possible. TrueNutrition.com is owned by Dante Trudell, the creator of DC Training. He wanted to create a supplement company that offered high-quality, third-party tested supplements at a fair price. High-quality protein powders, just about every type you could think of. Huge variety of flavors, plus health and performance supplements. Check them out, TrueNutrition.com. And hey, if you use our code ADVICES, you directly support our podcasting. Thanks, guys. Let's get back to the program.
You had a whole bunch of listener questions, didn't you?
I did. I threw that up. I had a plan because I knew we were I was finally ready to do a show again. So yes, I have a ton. Did you get any, or would you like to? Or would you like me to just blast them out? Because I have hundreds.
Why don't you blast some good ones? Blast a few good ones. You know how we are.
Okay, this is a good one.
We do our best.
This is a good one, actually. Struggling with bulking the look. I used to be a fat kid, so mentally it makes it really hard and takes me back to being that kid. Advice on that?
Well, some people can definitely bulk harder than other people, and get away with it. Like, I was able to eat, I did the crazy stuff, bag of Burger King every day, trying to hit 300 and all that sort of stuff. And, did I get too fat? Probably got too fat a few times, but it didn't do me any psychological stress or worry me or anything like that. And it also didn't if you used to be a fat kid, then you have those areas that get extra fat, and you have all that genetic predisposition for, where your storage is. So you can't push a bulk like someone who has very even fat storage. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You get someone who's naturally leaner and has even body fat, and they can eat their face off. But you have someone who's genetically really fat in the midsection and was overweight when they're a kid. There's a lot of fat cells, and you got to be more careful with what you consider a calorie surplus, and I think more strategic with, having low calorie days and lower calorie days or deficit days and stuff like that. I could see that being a strategy. You just have to be more careful, but you still have to eat enough to grow. And that's what's hard for people who were, well,
that's his struggle, is he's dealing with the mental side of having to do that. So what would you say for that, as far as the mental side? I mean, how I know it's person to person, but what would you suggest if you had a client that was in that spot?
Take a lot of pictures. Take pictures often, because as a bodybuilder, we do this all the time. I go, oh, this part sucks, and then you take pictures and you're like, oh, it actually looks okay. Right. So he's gonna be like, oh, I don't want to get too fat. I don't want to get too fat. But he takes the pictures and can still see a couple abs, and he knows he's no fatter than last week.
Right.
Then when you see proof, you think, oh, I feel I'm getting fatter, but then you see pictures and you're like, oh, I'm not.
Right.
So that would be a strategy, I guess. I definitely don't consider myself an expert on dealing with that. It's not something I ever had to go through. But I would say that if you had material evidence to cancel out your feelings and emotions, that would probably be a good place to start.
Yeah, I think too with that, you have to remember what the goal is and understand that when you were fat as a kid, you made your decision to become fat subconsciously. You didn't mean to. You didn't make a decision. This is a choice. You're in control, which means if at any point you decide you can't handle it, you know how to reel it back in because you've done it before. So I think that that's a key. Because Evan Centopani is a prime example of a guy that was a fat kid, but actually was a firm believer in getting big in the off season.
Yeah.
He's actually put a post about that in the last month, I guess, 2.5 months. I forgot about one of them, where he said that, like, he always thought that the off season was a time to get big. And he posted a picture and his face was all bloated. And I think that that's key, because you have to remember you're in control. You weren't before. So don't think you slipped and fell and got fat. And be smart. Like you said, you probably can't have Burger King meals. I literally joke about this with people all the time. Like, my metabolism is a way that, like, I can get away with murder in the off season. But I don't suggest it. And I also think about the health side of it. So I don't do that anymore. But for something like that, you can't. And then the other thing is, like Ron said, is have the pictures, because people allow the scale to tell them how they look.
Right.
So you go up. I mean, it's funny, but I had a client just barely, to give you an idea, she put on 10 pounds while I was away. And I read the email, I looked at the pictures, and I compared to the other pictures. And I barely saw a difference. So I literally DM'd her, and I'm like, this is the wrong number, right? And she's like, nope, I'm up 10 pounds. I'm like, damn, you aren't any fatter. I mean, if you are, it's marginally.
Right.
So obviously you're just fuller. I mean, I know you didn't put on 10 pounds of muscle, but it was just one of those situations where the scale was lying to me in a way that I'm like, that can't be right. I mean, I'm comparing pictures side by side, and 10 pounds on a 5'8" woman is a lot of weight.
Yeah.
You would think I could see it. And I literally was like, oh, well, I guess it's fine. Just keep going,
Yeah.
But it was one of those things where, again, if I had allowed the scale to say it, it's like, oh, fuck, we gotta diet.
Yeah.
You can't put on 10 pounds in 6 weeks. That's not okay. You must be fat. You know what I mean? So marginal. I'm like, all right, cool. Well, then let's just hope you can put on another 10 like that looks like this. So, all right, let me see what else we got here. All right, these are interesting answers to me, so I'm curious for you. What's typically the best for leg thickness or width, like the front view?
Well, I mean, so from the front view, what's the most important things?
Yeah, what makes them look thick?
Well, I mean, quads and adductors. Quads and adductors. I mean, some people don't need to train their adductors. Some guys get big adductors from squatting and pressing and hacking and all that stuff. And some people don't.
Right.
And they need to add, some adductor work. But yeah, I mean, to get thick legs from the front, I mean, you're looking at quad sweep and teardrops. And I think that someone asked me this yesterday. They say, what do you think? I can't remember who I read this from, but it made the most sense. They said the quad sweep and the teardrop are only knee hinge movements, right? They don't cross the hip joint. So they only have a knee joint.
Right.
And they're actually kind of hard to put into a stretch position. They don't really have large ranges of motion. We know the knee moves a long ways, but the teardrop doesn't have to stretch that much to make that corner. Like, have you seen how much your teardrop actually moves when you bend your knee?
Right.
It only has a range of motion of like a couple inches.
Yeah.
And same with your quad sweep. Like your quad sweep, I know the knee appears to move a long ways, but it only takes like an inch or two of range of motion to make that turn.
Right.
So you have to put them through really long ranges of motion, which means going deep.
Right. Agreed.
Teardrop and sweep are all about depth. That's what I was reading. That's what made sense to me from it. And the rectus femoris crosses both joints. So you need to fix the hip joint to truly load it, which would be leg extensions or sissy squats or something like that.
Right.
But it also is the largest muscle in the quad and does a huge amount of work when you squat and stuff like that. So that and the rectus femoris too, you could fix the knee joint and move the hip joint and it would also work.
Right.
Which is kind of interesting because we don't think about knee raises or leg raises with leg training. We think of them as ab training, but I've seen lots of programs. Like, didn't JP have you doing hanging leg raises on leg day?
Yep.
Yeah, because the rectus femoris crosses the hip joint, but most people don't think that way. But as far as adding teardrop thickness and quad sweep, that would be from the front. That would matter the most.
Yep.
That's just going deep. Go deep. Full range extensions, full range hacks. You know, I see people doing extensions like this, but try to set up the machine so your legs fold right underneath and you get true full range extensions.
Yep.
Everything.
Yeah, and make the muscle work. I mean, I think that's the big thing on extensions too, is a lot of people just fire it up. I always say squeeze it up on extensions. Like, make the muscle work to get the even on the positive, of course, control the negatives. So key. And then, like you said, I think for most people, adductor is the magic. Because most people are hollow as hell between the leg. It's like, I've seen, I mean, you know who did really well with that was King Kamali. He didn't have great quad sweep, but if you looked at his legs, he had so much adductor.
Yeah, so
that his legs looked massive.
Do you remember what King Kamali did for leg training? Do you remember his videos? I know exactly why he had big adductors. Because he did this crazy, dangerous, incredibly heavy squatting and leg pressing with very wide stance.
Right.
And I mean, that just screams adductor overload.
Right.
And he had huge adductors. So I just funny when you mentioned that, when you mentioned King Kamali, I remember a video of him like Smith squatting 7 plates with like a guy like bear hugging him.
Right.
But he's like wide stance and everything, right?
Yeah, his feet are as wide as the damn machine.
Yeah, you know. So yeah, that's funny. But yeah, you're right. He was an example of a guy who, and also too, Branch Warren. Like, Branch has great quads, but look how far apart his feet are, and his legs are still touching all the way down to the knee.
Yeah,
he stands with
crazy.
He stands with like almost a wider than shoulder width stance. Like his feet are almost wider than his shoulders. They're like right out to his side delts, his feet, you know?
Yeah.
And his legs were still touching like most of the way down. And that's what gave his thighs such a massive look to them, you know?
Yeah, I think it's funny because I really, don't get me wrong, Branch had gigantic legs, but he could stand like next to a Kai and his legs not look small, and I guarantee you they didn't measure the same. You know what I mean?
Obviously Branch isn't a big guy.
Right.
Like, you know, you see Branch when he was even at his biggest, and like he's obviously a tank, but frame wise, you know, you see his legs on stage and they look like they would be, you know, as big as like your torso.
Right. Yeah.
But in reality, they're not. But the adductor illusion is just nuts.
Yeah, for sure.
So Okay. Hey, I just got some news.
What is it?
How's this for hot? We're closing the gym today at 1.
No way.
Yeah. I guess they're shutting work sites all over the city. Restaurants are closing because the kitchens are too hot. The air conditioning can't keep up with the heat. Just think of like, how good an air conditioner do you need? Well, all of a sudden now, maybe the air conditioner you have isn't quite enough. So
Right.
my buddy told me it was 120 Fahrenheit in his kitchen at work yesterday where he cooks. And they were taking turns standing in the freezer. So they're closing kitchens all over the city. Chefs are going home. Work sites, construction, all shutting down. And so I guess we're shutting the gym today. So, when I was a little kid, I used to like snow day. You get that day where it's minus 40. It's so fucking cold that the school buses just say, fuck you, I'm not driving.
Yeah.
And you get to stay home from school. Well, I guess it's shut the gym day. So craziness. Crazy, Dusty. That's how Canadians cope with the heat. We just fucking stay home.
I don't think it's preparation. It's funny. An example that a lot of people don't think of. In Arizona, we don't have sewer systems like storm drains.
Everything just evaporates before there's not enough rain.
Even if we get like a crazy, so what'll happen is we'll have areas that flood when we have a ton of liquid. But just like you guys, it's not worth the millions and millions and millions of dollars it would cost.
I like how you called it liquid, because is there a possibility it's not rain? Like what other liquid floods the city? Well, it could be rain, but like other liquids too.
Yeah, could be anything. You never know in this place. Yeah,
so if California sinks into the ocean and a tsunami comes up into Arizona, you guys don't have drainage, is what you're telling me.
Thank God we have a boat. I mean,
okay. What's next?
What are your thoughts about training back 3 times a week?
Well, I mean, I got nothing against it if it results in progress. I mean, fuck, I've done back twice a week. I did that a couple times. And then the one year I did it, I had people tell me that my back came up, and I was pretty certain that I'd made a good choice that year and done a good job at balancing volume and all that sort of stuff. I did the pull day and then a row day with a deadlift movement.
Ronnie style, except for it wasn't morning and afternoon.
Yeah. and I've seen guys do a pull down day, a row day, and then like later and then at the end of the week just deadlifts. Right. So that's technically back 3 times a week. Right. So there's lots of ways you could do it. Or maybe it's just adjusted for volume, and it's just like 3 back workouts that all add up to the total volume that makes sense, and it's not necessarily rows or pull downs. It's just like 3 back workouts that are composed of all the movements. It would just depend on volume and recovery. Obviously I've never done it. I trained calves 3 times a week, and I got them to improve.
I did legs 3 times a week with under John Meadows' guidance. But what we did, and I think this would be my suggestion if this guy's going all out for back, is remember your CNS is working. So during the time I was training legs 3 days a week, I wasn't training back at all.
Right. Yeah.
So I stopped. I got rid of other things so that my body could handle that, and my legs absolutely came up. But I took a body part that's genetically gifted, just let it go dormant, knowing full well. And it was funny because it did alter, because it was for a pretty good period of time. But literally to get my back to where it is, or where it is at its best, it took like 2 weeks. It was almost like just reminding it, oh, hey, I need you back. And it did its thing. So I think that's a big deal, is if you're really going all out for 3 days a week, you might need to get rid of or combine and lower volume on other stuff.
Yeah, your total overall training volume.
Yeah. Not just back.
Like this is another good example. This just happened to a client of mine. I put some bike sprints in, just a few.
Yes.
Hit cardio, and and it was enough to tip the scales, and all of a sudden they were like, holy fuck, I'm fucked. And then we like dialed back a bit, and they're like fine again.
Right.
And that's a really good client though, who has been working with me a long time, and I know their feedback is like really accurate. Right. So I was like, it was good feedback. But yeah, it's like, anything that's super intense can be enough to cross the line.
Here's a good one that I'm actually curious about too. What's the hardest prep you've been through, and how did it turn out?
We sort of talked about this once, but I think it was worded differently. Hardest prep I've been through. That's hard to say because it's like hard for different reasons, I guess.
When I think of hard, I think of like which preps. I mean, in my brain, I'm thinking they're asking about suffering, not about hard because your personal life had shit in it.
Yeah, see, that was the difference, right?
Yeah, I followed that one right away. I was like, I know where you're going with this.
Yeah, so one of my hardest preps, like just when I won the provincials, which was the 99 Albertas. I was 23 years old, but I was going to college full time. And I was living in Grand Prairie, and it was a brutal winter, like one of the worst winters I ever experienced in northern Alberta. It was minus 40 Celsius, which is also minus 40 Fahrenheit. They match up. So it was
run into each other.
Yeah, the minus 40 is the same on both. So when I say minus 40, it's that's what it is. It was minus 40 like for almost like a whole month at one point. And like you had to run out between every class and start your car for a little while, or else it would be too frozen to start, and you had to try to find a spot with a plug in. Right. And you had to plug your car in every night to keep your oil fucking viscous, and let your car run for like 20 minutes just to warm it up, and it was fucking brutal. And I was getting up at 5:30 every morning to do cardio, and going to bed at midnight, 12:30 every night after cooking all my meals and studying and getting everything done and training and all that. So it was just one of those, like, I think back to the busiest times in my life, and where you had the most day completely called for already.
Yeah.
And it was the 99 Alberta contest prep, or the first year we opened the gym. Those were two of the busiest, craziest periods of time in my life. Yeah.
Did you find though? I mean, it's weird, but when I think back to when I owned the 5 retail stores and was bodybuilding, I remember one thing that I really liked about it was I was too busy to even realize that if I was tired, if I was anything, like there was no time to analyze. It was just like, eat your food, back to work, get done with work, do this, get to the house, do that. You know what I mean? Like I remember I had my schedule down to the point there where at the end of the day, I would leave my store around 8:30, 8:45 at night, and I would come home, and I found that the only thing that kind of refreshed me was to come home, take my shoes off, put my feet in the pool for a while, and like just chill for like 10 minutes, and then fresh socks, and then go to the gym. And it was like, that was like my little trick to get through the day, because then we would train, and by the time I was at the gym actually training, we'd start at like 10, get done with a workout somewhere between 11:30 and midnight, do more cardio, same thing. But I remember once it was all said and done going, that was the fastest prep of my life.
Yeah, flew by.
Because you just don't have time to even analyze or think. Or, I would send my pictures to Chris blind. Like, like when you have a slower life, you'll look at the pictures a little bit. I would literally attach them, send, and then go.
Yeah, like I wouldn't even go, that's not a good front double or whatever. I just send it anyways. Yeah.
That's it was funny. Like, I'd hit one shot for my training partner that took my pictures, and it was what it was. I hope he didn't make it blurry. Like, here we go.
I was filming with a video camera,
right?
Filming a round of mandatories every Sunday morning, And then Monday morning, I would express post it in the mail. And then Tuesday afternoon, my coach would get it and he would watch it and he would call me Tuesday night. And that's what we did for 16 weeks.
It's so funny because, I mean, I started bodybuilding late enough that I should say I started bodybuilding with a coach late enough.
Right.
That it was pictures online the whole time. Like, I think about that because Jay used to say that. He used to mail Chris pictures.
Yeah, because when I first hired the coach, I was like, "Hey, you want me to mail you pictures?" And he's like, "Fuck pictures, we do video." And I was like, "Oh, okay." He's like, "We have video cameras, right?"
What do they cost to film and send your tape?
Well, so I can't remember what format it was, but he told me the format that I needed to send, and I was like, "Oh wow, I have a friend who has one of those cameras. That's perfect."
Right.
So I just used my buddy's camera. And I guess every tape would have been like $6-7. But then to express post, it was like, I don't know, $5-6 probably, $10 maybe back then. So,
like $10 a week to send your pictures.
Yeah, $20 with video and everything. Yeah, it was funny. And then the funny thing was, is my coach, when I went to the show, he came to my hotel room to see me like on Friday, and he brought like a box of tapes. He's like, "Want your tapes back?" And I was like, "Oh, okay." So like he gave me all my tapes back. I have them somewhere still. It's funny.
That's freaking awesome. That's
classic. Yeah. On some format I can't watch.
Yeah, but you have them.
Yeah. You returned them.
Yeah, it's like you have CDs in your bathroom, but you have nowhere to put them.
Oh God. Tell you about the box of CDs I just dug through.
I love it. I used to have one of those big like square cases that held 4 per side.
Yeah,
I had like 300 or 500 discs in there.
Yeah.
God, it's funny to think that all of that plus is on this little guy right here now.
Remember my buddy back in the day? He had one of those giant CD books in his car, and it was like full of everything. He had like every fucking CD. And one day he was really into country though, so it was like half country.
Right.
And one day he got into his car and he realized his car had been broken into. Like he got in and he was like, "Oh shit!" Like his fucking glove box was open and everything was open and shit was tossed around his car. And his CD thing, he normally kept it like behind his seat.
Right.
And it was sitting on the passenger seat with a fucking note on top of it.
What did it say? "I hate country music."
And he grabbed the note and the note said, "I kept your sunglasses, but your music sucks." He like let him keep all his CDs. Fucking guy took time to write him a note. "I kept your sunglasses, but I brought your music back." That's what he said. "I brought your music back. It sucks."
That's freaking awesome. Oh my God, that's great.
He said he just laughed. He's like, "Fuck, fair play."
He was great about that. I'd be so happy. I'd be like, "Thank God I had this."
Oh yeah, he brought it, showed me. He's like, "Look at this fucking note. It's on my fucking car."
I don't know if I ever told you this. So when I was, you remember the house that I had when we did the cribs or whatever for Mutant at my house?
Yeah.
So one night, not sleeping, I hear something outside, and I go outside, and I realize someone has broken into my car. Right? And I see my sunglasses are gone, but I think to myself, I heard them. So I bolt in the house, grab my keys, come back out, get in my car, and I'm going to find these people. So I literally come out of my neighborhood. It's 2 a.m. or something, and I'm in North Scottsdale, and sure as shit, I see like this busted up Jeep Cherokee pulling into the next like turn into another neighborhood, and I'm like, "You don't belong here." "Okay, that's you." So I call the cops and I follow them into the neighborhood. And I'm literally just following them. And they realize, because they're obviously just checking cars and stealing what they can, that I'm following them. And so they stop their car. And it's these 2 punk kids get out of their car. So they get out of the car and start like approaching my car. So I'm like, okay. I put it in park and get out of my car and start walking towards them. And then they're like, "Oh shit." So they get back in their car and try to like outrun me. I'm just follow them around the neighborhood until the cops pull up. And I'm just telling the cops where I am the whole time. And she's like, don't get out of your car. I'm like, I have to get out of my car. She's like, please don't get out of your car. I'm like, they're chump kids. I'm getting out of my car. Like, so they end up getting there and arresting these kids. And it turns out they had broken into houses and stuff too. The entire back of the car was full of stuff. And now these two kids have ruined their life all because some idiot doesn't sleep and was up at 2 a.m. and heard him break into his car.
Yeah.
I was literally like, did I see your door shut?
My buddy had his car stolen right out of his garage one night. He was so fucking pissed. Right out of his garage. He just, he went to go to work in the morning and opened his door to walk into his garage, and his fucking garage door was open and his car was gone. And he was just like, what the fuck? Yeah. It's funny.
Todd had it. My camera guy, his Jeep got stolen yesterday.
Oh, shit.
He texted me, and it was paid off. And he's like you, like, he's got a Jeep. It's paid off. He doesn't want another car payment. I literally told him, I'm like, oh, nothing like getting a car payment you didn't want.
Yeah.
Like, it's not that he can't afford it. He just, why the hell would he have it? All right, this is a fun one, and I'm actually interested.
Okay.
Make your perfect bodybuilder with parts from non-Mr. Olympia winners.
Non-Mr. Olympia winners.
Yeah, so you can't cheat and use Phil Heath's arms. Like, you gotta.
Well, there's a whole bunch of things you take off Kevin Levrone right off the start.
See, that's almost cheating because he is a Mr. Olympia winner that didn't win. But okay, go ahead.
You take Kevin Levrone, and you take
Flex Wheeler.
And you take a few Flex Wheelers back double or something like that.
But you gotta go body part. So you take Levrone's triceps.
Yeah, and Levrone's delts. Take Levrone's delts too.
For sure.
And then
it's funny because if you start, it's weird. It's almost like putting together a perfect basketball team where just because they're great players, they might not fit together.
Yeah, no, it'll look funny. Like, do you?
I want to give you like Marcus Rule's chest, but I don't know how it's going to look on this.
Do you put Mike Francois' quads on there too, and then like how does that look? You wind up with like a Mr. Potato Head bodybuilder.
That's what I'm saying. It's like, it's funny because it has
plus
to flow.
Our eyes, when we imagine it, we also move skin tone. Like when you take like a body part and you put it with another body part, since you're envisioning it from that person, it's already a different color. So you got like a medium brown delt with like a black arm, and then like a white guy's leg that's kind of pink from the pro tan or a little bit red looking. So it just looks funny.
Slide down, you got Flex Lewis's calves.
Yeah. It's a shit show. But it'd be in there somewhere.
Oh, I love it. I saw that question. I'm like, this is too good to let go. Even though it's an impossible answer, I have to ask the question.
No. It's humorous to imagine.
Oh my God. Oh, this is a good one. I'm curious what yours was. What was your total test on your last blood work?
Oh, I don't remember. I remember my free test. Isn't it free test that is 8 to 28? Mm-hmm. Isn't that the range?
Yep.
That's free test, right? Okay, my test was 35.
Your free test. That's phenomenal.
Because I'm on one shot a week.
Do you use boron?
No, I don't use boron.
Yeah, that helps with free tests, so that's interesting.
Yeah, so it's because
that's a great free test number.
But that's off 250 megs a week.
Yeah, no, it's funny because my last blood work was 200 milligrams, and I was at just over 1,000
for total test.
Total test, yeah.
Yeah, and the range is what, up to 1,300?
Well, I mean, depends on where you ask. I mean, most doctors would consider me at the really, really high end,
right?
But yeah, and then I've had, just because I know this person's curious. I mean, I've seen it over 2 when I was on cycle.
Right. What's the normal range there? What do you consider a normal range?
Normal. I mean, I hate range, but I think every man should be somewhere between 8 and 1,000.
Okay.
Range is down to like 300, but
yeah, but the doctor's range on the test it says 300 to 900 or something, doesn't it?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. I was thinking it went to 13 for a second, but it doesn't. Okay.
Yeah, so no, it's just, that's one of those things too where it blows my mind because people will go to their doctor and they feel like hell. They have no sex drive. They have no desire to do anything.
Yeah, and their test is 8. And the doctor goes, oh, you're in range.
Yeah, you're fine. I'm like,
yeah.
Obviously, he's not fine.
Yeah.
Like, or he wouldn't be here.
Another thing is it's that range actually is for your age too. So they'll be like, oh, well, that's normal for your age.
Right.
And it's like, yeah, but fuck my age. I don't care how old I am.
Yeah, that's the guy who, the first clinic that I went to, the guy who owned it actually was not a doctor. And the reason he got into it was because he was a race car driver. And his doctor was like, well, that's called getting old. So it just is what it is. And he was like, no, that doesn't work for me. Like, and so he got into researching hormones and testosterone and things and learned that you don't have to essentially get old if you control those variables, you know, and because his thing was like, as bad as I feel, if this is what getting old is, I'm good to go. We can get out of here. Like, I've had enough of this planet.
I remember the first time I heard the phrase biological age as opposed to like real age.
Right.
Right. And it was, I believe his name was Dr. Michael Colgan.
Mm-hmm.
And he used to write for like MD Magazine or Muscle and Fitness or one of those. He used to always have a column in the back.
Right.
And he was just a guy back in the 90s who worked with bodybuilders and had stuff to say about, you know, food and health and that sort of thing. And I remember there were some like articles started to work their way out from him about, you know, what's your actual biological age? You know, like look at your blood work, look at your hormones, look at your testosterone level, look at your all these other levels. And you might be 38, but your biological age is 26. Right. So he introduced this idea of, you know, you don't have to be your age. And I remember I feel like he was one of the guys without pushing testosterone, without pushing hormone therapy, without really talking about it at the time. He sort of like implanted the idea to me anyways. He was the first guy that I remember reading about the idea of like, you don't have to like think of your actual age as your age. Like you start thinking about, you know, your health and start thinking about your biological age.
Right.
So that was kind of, and now that's like all the rage, right?
Yeah, we all do that. I mean,
it's like, oh, I want the thyroid levels, test levels, and growth hormone levels of a 21-year-old.
Yeah, no, it's funny because I literally transcend the clinic that I use and promote. They just put together a package to help me with the essentially bouncing back. And it's, I mean, some of the things I've never even heard of. They're like, okay, you're going to need this for recovery, you need this. And it's just, it's baffling how much control we have now. Like, I'm excited because I'm actually going to show people what I add in and what happens. Because like right now, and I'm sure you've noticed this, like, you know how after a show, you take a few days off and then you get back in the gym and you just feel like you get hit by a truck every time you train?
Yeah.
That's me right now. Like, I trained chest the other day. I think I put up the whole workout. Yeah, I did, as far as what movements I did. And I am wrecked still to the touch. And it's funny because like chest is a thing where I'm sore the next day and then the day after I could probably train again.
Right.
As far as the way I feel, not really, but you know, so it'll be interesting to see adding those in because you have that much control now. Like, you know, I wonder what it was like to be 40 years old 50 years ago. Because at 40, my body, I mean, prior to getting sick, felt better than it did at 25. My joints felt better. My mind felt better. I was stronger. Like it's one of those things where I'm like, essentially, it's like I was 25 again, but with old man strength.
Right.
Like, you know what I'm saying? So it's kind of like, oh, so I'm actually younger now than I was when I was 25.
Right. I know what you mean.
So
that's
yeah,
a good feeling.
It is cool to have all that stuff because it's the same with therapies. You know, I go in with something off and I mean, 45 minutes later, it's fixed. I'm like, cool, back in business. Let's roll.
Right.
You know, so that's why I promote it so actively to people because they don't get it. I'm like, no, you don't understand. Like, these are things I would be fighting with for weeks.
If there's one thing Dusty Hanshaw likes, it's his therapy.
Oh God, yes. It's I just wish that everybody understood that. That's why I always say, make sure if you want to be a bodybuilder, you have a really good job.
Yeah, I know. So you can give your money to other people to push on your body with the thumbs.
So you can somehow fix something, and eat the food, the best quality, everything else. All right, let me see. I just saw one. Shit.
I got one.
Oh, you have one. I thought you didn't have any. Fire.
Well, no, but you had all these ones you haven't, I just did a Q&A the other day for my Instagram. So I got one. If you could have unlimited amounts of one thing that isn't normally free, like let's not say water, because we'll just assume water comes out of a tap. But you have unlimited amounts of something fun for the rest of your life. You never have to worry about a shortage or paying for it or anything. What would it be?
Man, I'd like to do like a cheesy answer, but like, I mean, I would take. I can't do unlimited time.
Yeah.
No, I mean, shit. I mean, I guess the easy answer for me would be money.
Right. Okay. Well, let's say it has to be like ice cream or something.
Oh, okay. All right. Unlimited amounts of.
Like a commodity. It has to be like some kind of good.
I got you. I'm thinking. I guess I would go with what I already have, but I just don't have to pay for it anymore. Would be I'd have unlimited steak that tried to kill me.
I was just gonna say it would probably be like steak or ground turkey.
Yeah, it would be steak for sure. I would have my fillets for free.
What's the most expensive thing that I am forced to buy forever?
That's what I'm thinking. I mean, because even when I get the discount, it's $25 a pound. I mean,
yeah.
I will gladly have somebody give me that for free for the rest of my life.
Yeah. So yeah, I'd say it'd probably be something like that. I know it'd be fun to say like, I live in Canada, so like, weed's already free. When you say, back in the 90s, it'd be like, oh, unlimited weed or something, but now it's like nowadays, like weed's just everywhere.
I don't. The funny thing is, I also just factor in. I mean, I can't help it, but like, I don't spend enough on weed.
No, exactly. Like how much you spend on weed? Like how much do you possibly spend on weed compared to groceries?
Exactly.
This is fucking crazy. Even if I got my egg whites for free, that would be like a huge financial burden. Just lift it, especially price of eggs now in Canada. Jesus.
How did Dusty get rich? He gets his Crystal Light for free now.
Yeah, he got a Crystal Light subsidy 10 years ago, and he's been investing it and reinvesting it over and over, and it's just piled up on him.
That would be the secret of my success.
Or Starbucks quads. There you go. You get your free Starbucks quads. Imagine every time you pull through, they just give you the fist bump and hand it to you, and there's no money exchange.
Here you go, Dusty.
What's that? Is that $6 a day? Just if you save $6 a day, what is it Elon Musk said? For like 32 million days, you'll have as much money as him.
Exactly, for 32 million days. Yeah, I remember that thing when it went up. It was like if you made $250,000 a day or whatever it was. Since Christ was born, you wouldn't have as much money as Elon Musk.
Okay, I got one. Let's do this one. What would you do? Like, let's imagine you are a billionaire. Let's imagine you're a billionaire. Okay, you have so much money you can't even waste it. Like, if you just frivolously spend, you'll still never go broke, ever.
Right.
So what do you do with your money to try to justify having that much? Is there anything you do to help people? Is there any cause that you definitely, like, kind of put your energy into? You're not going to have to work anymore, ever. So you want to have something, you want to make the world a better place? Are you that type of billionaire? Or do you just kind of go, I'm going to buy a yacht and fuck off and not help anybody?
I think, what's funny is I think that I would do, I would want to use money as a way to motivate people to do more. And it's funny because I'm reading Nipsey Hussle's book right now. And I just started it. But he kind of found a way, or was working on a way, to get where he came from, working, hustling, making money. So, I mean, I'd do something really simple. Like, I mean, if it was just ridiculous money, it would be to the point of like,
well, $1 billion. You're a billionaire.
Getting average people to work harder. So, for example, I always said, like, if I was filthy rich and I had kids, they wouldn't be filthy rich, but I would double their income. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, if you make 30,000, you'll have 60, but if you make 300, you'll have 600. You know what I mean? I would do something along those lines, create a way for people to understand how to make money. I don't know exactly how I'd go about doing that, but I think if I had that kind of money, there'd be a way to do it, because it's a question I get all the time. And it baffles me, because to me, finding ways to make extra money or to do more is really, really, really easy. And I'm fascinated how many people have no idea. Like, they're just like, where do I start? And I'm thinking, what do you like to do?
Right.
You know, I mean, so yeah, I think that finding a way to educate people on how to just be more financially successful would be huge. So yeah, that would be my plan. I just don't know how. What about you?
I see myself, I would probably get involved with dog rescues and shit and projects involving that sort of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Probably a lot of dog rescues out there that are like, probably wouldn't need that much money to take all their stress away. You know what I mean?
Oh,
Think
sure.
about all the dog rescues out there that are staying functional, but maybe they just need a little bit of funding. So how many dog rescues could you fund with all that ridiculous interest that you were earning just for doing nothing? And also too, like, you know, maybe fun little side project, like trying to get high school kids exposed to weight training or something like that. Like start some sort of, you know, they do the PR campaigns and they push health, and especially now in the post-COVID thing where we're seeing the data on people who work out and exercise, you know. So maybe you contribute to that by saying, oh, well, now's the perfect time to educate kids on the importance of exercise, and maybe now's the perfect time to actually speak out without being shamed about the obesity epidemic. You know, like all this thing, you can't say anything about obesity, and now all of a sudden they're like, actually, it fucking kills you.
Right.
We should probably start talking about it, you know? So that sort of stuff. Yeah, I don't know. I just see myself, things that don't interest me bore me to death.
Right.
So I couldn't see myself as a billionaire being too interested in like stuff that it'd have to be stuff I was interested in. So, you know, promoting exercise, working out, promoting that sort of stuff. Mm-hmm. And, you know, I could see myself, I'm already terrible on Instagram with dog rescues. I can imagine I'd probably be throwing money at them. Take my money.
It's funny.
I'm going to build you a better facility.
You know what's crazy though is you really realize, because I've been working with that the powerful, or with a powerful
right.
rescue, and it's one of my old clients, Duke Hemstreet. His the amount of money that they kick out, like literally, I had no idea, but I mean, it's like at one, I'm throwing this number out so nobody hammer me, but I want to say that last year they spent almost $200,000
right
on surgeries and food and just, I mean, things
and
to get
just a little dog
going.
Rescue. How many dogs do they even have? Yeah,
that's the thing. I mean, because, you know, each one that comes through, like they got one that just came in, and just to kind of run the tests and make sure and see if she is, I just put her post up, if she's even eligible for a surgery that might correct the issue, is like $5,000.
Yeah.
So it's like every Friday I'll put up a post sharing the $5 Friday where you just donate $5. And it's crazy though when you see how quick it adds up. So you're right. I mean, you take a company like that who they're making enough to get by. I'm sure they're not making any money. That's for damn sure. You give them $50,000 and every year would be a game changer. You know what I mean? Like 25 would take all the heat off. But yeah, I mean, it's crazy because I watch them and I can't help but just respect it. The only problem I have is like, if I had a dog rescue, would be letting any of them go.
I know. We just turned into a dog farm.
Dogs.
We just have a dog ranch. And I was also thinking something that if you were a billionaire, can you think of like just like a fun thing that you would do that would just be like I was thinking I would put on a huge concert.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? Like if you're a billionaire, you'd be like, fuck, put on a huge concert, sell tickets for cheap. So everyone, like you got to sell the tickets. You can't give them away because it's even logistically more difficult. Give away a bunch of them, but you could sell them for like some small amount and then have all the money go to a dog rescue or a charity or something.
Feed it back
or you
through.
could just fucking eat the cost of it because you're so rich, and you could have a big concert wherever you live. Like you could do fucking Scottsdale, and you could bring in your 5 favorite bands and have a giant festival, and you could just have a big, huge post-COVID party and just foot the bill, and you wouldn't even give a shit. Like, oh, the bill's $3 million. Be like, yeah, whatever.
That's fun.
That's a weekend.
I want people to have a good time.
Yeah, that's for my town, and all the free tickets to the kids or whatever. But yeah, you could do crazy shit like that. Like, I don't know why, why isn't Elon doing that? I don't know. I mean, you do fun shit like that. You know what I mean? Yeah, he's gonna go to space. Can you imagine having all that money and you go to space and like it's not a good trip, like the shuttle blows up or something?
That's
don't you
crazy, though.
Don't you want them to work the bugs out? Like maybe you take the 100th flight.
Exactly. And even then, it's like, it's only 100. That's not much of a pool of evidence of what's going to happen.
Right.
I'm sure the 100th flight on an airplane wasn't the safest thing you could possibly do.
Yeah. Maybe 1,000th. Yeah. How does it feel to be the 50,000th person to take this trip? Safer.
Exactly. Yeah. I don't need it to be special.
I didn't need to be the first. Yeah. Okay, you got one more? We've been on a while, Dusty.
Dude, yeah. I mean, I thought
your endurance might be down a little bit, but you're just fucking set after set. You're still going.
I can still talk shit like no one's business, mister. This is a good one, actually. Thoughts on salt during prep, and do you manipulate it peak week, or do you keep it the same?
I completely stopped manipulating it. It does nothing but cause drama and stress. And I just leave it in. Just fucking leave it in. Don't ever take it out. Yeah, that's what I say. Obviously that's assuming the person's in great shape and they look good and they're consuming lots of sodium and drinking lots of fluid and, got striated glutes and, like your client Dan there that I helped. I mean, he sends me he's sending me videos 2 weeks out and his glutes are like ripple chips. I'm like, yeah, you're not going to need to do much.
Keep going.
Yeah, keep going. Like, why would you fucking alter that guy's electrolytes and fuck with his blood volume and mess up his blood pressure and alter his aldosterone levels and cause his antidiuretic hormone to spike? And
I think the big thing is if you can, for you younger coaches is you want to eliminate variables.
Yeah.
And when you start adding variables, your risk to reward ratio just gets flipped. I mean, listen, and it's something that Chris taught me over a decade ago. He goes, we shoot for 90%. Like Chris goes, I never shoot for 100% because 100%, if you miss, is 85% or 80%.
Yeah, like, you never.
But you at 90, you at 95% are going to be very, very hard to beat.
People think if they go over 100, they go to 102%.
Right.
But no. If you go over 100, you quickly become 85%.
Yeah, so that's how you want to look at it because I think that's what happens. Now, I will say, for example, and I just did this at the Junior Nationals, is I had a client wake up slightly flat.
Right.
And I said, okay, cool. With your potatoes this morning, eat 2 Pop-Tarts, which is sodium and fat and a very small amount of substance. So I knew his stomach would stay tight. And just when that amount of sodium hit with a little bit of water, filled right back up, and that was it. Yeah. And that's it. But I did not plan on manipulating sodium. He just woke up and I said, oh, okay, I know what to do here because we're not pushing water. So the carbs are almost nothing at this point. They're barely having an effect. So salt is my magic. And this is a way where I can control the amount of sodium he brings in without telling him to measure out salt.
Right.
And we're good to go. But yeah, just keep it in. And I mean, same thing. Like it blows my mind. Like there's guys that are like, I don't put salt on anything. Or they're using Mrs. Dash as a seasoning during prep. And I'm like, as I'm pouring half of a jar of, teriyaki on my food every meal. And I'm like, that's weird.
I think we've almost defeated the myth of sodium being a bad thing at all.
Oh yeah, 90s is when that was a normal.
Yeah, I mean, sort of overcame that And there was still a lot of lingering sodium restriction going on I'd look at other people's, like other people would say, hey, my coach has me doing this. And I would see like no salt on there. There was some of that lingering stuff still hanging around, like as of pretty recently. Mm-hmm. But I think we pretty much defeated it now because everyone's like experienced the difference.
Right.
You know, like I've helped people like, you know, they've done 4 shows with sodium restriction and then they do their first show with sodium with me, for example. Yeah. And all I hear the whole prep is, oh my God, I feel so much better. Oh my God, I can't believe how much better.
Training is great. Strength is good. Yeah.
Training is good. My pumps are good. And then once again, I can't believe how much better I feel. Like I can actually think. My brain's working. I can move around. I get to the gym. I kill it in the gym. Even on low carbs, I look fucking good. Mm-hmm. You know, like they're worried about getting flat, and then they look at their delts and they're like, oh my God, you know, like. So it's a performance enhancing mineral. What else we got? We got one more?
Do you have one? I don't have what I've been looking at.
Okay.
A lot of these were just, this is an important one. I'm sorry. You don't need to answer. Ron, are you team fork or team spoon?
I am team fork.
There we go. That was a strong team fork.
Yeah, I'm a team fork. I can't remember any time I've ever eaten. My standard for this question is chicken and rice chopped up in a bowl.
Yep.
Is that because that was how it all started, right? That whole argument.
Yeah.
It was like just chicken and rice chopped up in a bowl. They weren't talking about scrambled eggs or any other.
Yeah, it was that.
Food.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the chicken and rice chopped up in a bowl, fork.
Yeah. See, now this is kind of funny, and I don't even know how it happened, but when I was first starting and working with Dante and just shoveling food, I used to eat with not just a spoon, but like an oversized spoon. Like that was my standard. But now I absolutely eat 95% of my food with a fork. Pull the Chad Nichols there and get a percentage, just a random percentage. I love doing that.
Right. Just like pull.
I love making up percentages because I remember when he used to do that all the time, and every time I do it, I laugh at myself. I'm like,
I think he laughs too.
It's not even accurate.
Yeah, he chuckles a bit too. He's like 89%. Yeah.
But no, I guess that puts me team fork now as well.
Yeah.
But it's funny because if I'm shoveling large amounts of food, like even my brain goes, why did I stop using a spoon? Like, I don't know.
Right. I remember.
Maybe I should now that I almost died with a fork and too big of a chunk.
Well, I remember
cut my steak.
I remember when I started traveling for Mutant and all the flying, and I'm flying with meals, and they don't allow forks. So I remember like eating chicken and rice or steak and rice with a spoon on the plane, and I remember thinking like, wow, I never thought I would be one of these people. Like I remember the event, like it crossed my mind. I remember having that little conversation, watching the spoon go through the steak and rice, and being like, this is odd. How odd is this?
Yeah, why am I doing this?
Yeah, and so then when they had that argument, I was like, oh fuck, I've had this whole thing in my head.
But think about this though, for real. Like this is the only reason I think the spoon is so funny. So unless someone has pre-cut up your chicken, are you taking a spoon and pushing it through? Or are you holding it down with a spoon and cutting with, you know what I mean? Like
cutting with the fork.
Wrong. Like I cut my food up with scissors. But in the occasion, like when you go to a restaurant,
yeah,
they don't cut your steak up for you, and you're not holding it down with a spoon while you cut it with a knife.
Oh yeah,
you know. So I'm like,
the spoon is a very privileged thing to use for a steak and rice meal, Dusty.
Because it's already that means your
privilege is on display.
Screwed it up.
You can tell they grew up rich kids. That someone cut their food for them.
I just love though that
you can tell who the rich kids are with the spoon. Is that it now?
I just love though that Fuad is following in Jay's footsteps and understanding you can make money off of all of this. And he's like, we're gonna make shirts that say Team Fork and Team Spoon.
Yeah, and fuck, maybe he only printed 50 of them, but fuck it, who cares? He gets to sell them.
I guarantee you, he sold a ton of them because I saw it. I was like, okay, that's
Team
funny.
Fork, Team Spoon.
Like,
and then he
where
probably
people don't know what it is.
And then he already has the Instagram poll to order the ratio of shirts. Right? So he already knows
like, we need 70% spoon and forker.
Yeah. We need 75 fork shirts and 25 spoon shirts. Yeah. He already has the ratio. He did the marketing research is right there for him.
Yeah. You guys didn't even realize it, but you created his order.
You might as well ask, what size shirt do you wear, and just have a scale and have all the data recorded.
Yeah. When you answer if it's spoon or fork, just tell me what size shirt you're going to be wearing as well.
Funny. Yeah.
You just send him a Venmo request.
Yeah. Straight to print.
Immediately.
Okay. Well, Dusty, we got a show under our belts. I'm happy.
Show number 93/1. Amazing.
I have the day off suddenly because we're closing the gym today. As we're sitting
train an empty gym.
As we're sitting here, actually, I'm going to go train at Braden's house. It might be cooler because his house, his garage is surrounded by massive, like 100-year-old trees.
Oh, right.
So it's very sort of shaded, and his house is almost below the road. Like you pull off the main road and you actually go down a hill to his driveway.
Right.
So it's almost like, fuck, he might have some good shade in there today with the fan. He's got a giant, like 6-foot fan sitting back. So like, a Metroflex style.
I love that. So, we have those big fans, and in the summer during COVID, I used to drag it around the gym with me.
Yeah.
So every station, I just set it up next to the leg press, lean it down.
Yeah. So I'm gonna go train at his house today, and we'll smash it up in there. We'll see what the temperature is. But yeah, it looks like the gym's closed today, which is crazy. I would have never thought.
Like heat closure.
And see, we talked about it last night because one of our employees, real good guy, Martin, that works for us, he sent me a message. He goes, I think you guys might want to consider closing tomorrow, like maybe after the morning. And I was like, oh, that seems. And then he messaged this morning and he's like, I think I have heat stroke. He's like, I don't feel too good. And I was like, oh, fuck. And then all of a sudden we got messages like work sites shutting down, restaurants closing, schools closed.
Well, I think you're playing a smart business move too, because that's a risk, man.
Yeah.
You got some moron in there like me that just goes after it like always.
Yeah. Because exactly. It's gonna be us hurting ourselves.
Yeah, it's funny, but I literally just said that when I told a friend of mine that was down here. I said, well, this is me protecting myself from training with Tommy right now.
Yeah. Because
I'll just do what I always do then.
Yeah.
And end up killing myself. So.
Yeah, no. So it was good. So yeah, he was right. Closing was something that's going on today. So it's so hot I can't even go ride my fucking bike, dude. Like
let's hope that it cools down so that damn gym can get back open and you can get back to functioning.
Yeah. Well, tomorrow it's only supposed to be 37 or whatever. So that's it's like gas prices. They jack them the fuck up, and then when they lower them a little bit, you're like, oh, they're down again. It's like no,
it's only
you just got conditioned.
Yeah, there's guys like me that still remember that I used to pay 99 cents.
Well, yeah, you were asleep for a month. You missed a whole $1 raise.
Oh man. I didn't miss crap in this country. I know what's going to happen. Every bad decision possible is going to be made.
Yeah. Hey, man, our fuel right now is unbelievably expensive.
Oh, well, you guys are on the leader too, so. Ugh.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We got like an $8 gallon up here, almost.
That's brutal. No one is driving my truck in Vancouver. That's for sure.
Oh. No. Okay, buddy. Take care of yourself. It's really good to see the delts coming through the shirt now. Everything's coming back. I love it.
We're making our runway. We're making our run back to this side just to touch it and then leave again. Okay.
I still can't wait for the day, which I know is probably maybe it's a year away. Which would probably be with you because you like to plan things. So you do a 1-year anniversary post. I can't wait to see the shirtless 230 shot.
Right.
And I know you have it, and I know that you probably hate it because I would fucking hate it. But then there'll be a point when you're a shirtless 305 again, and you'll be like,
that's when it goes up. They go up next to each other. Everybody knows that. It's like
you got to have the full cancel. You got to be able to cancel the picture immediately.
Yeah.
And then it's immediately canceled with this.
If I had any nuts at all, I would have already put it up as a solo and just posted it and been like, "This is me today." But I don't.
Right. Okay.
All right, man.
that one. I know it's coming. I look forward to the day.
No doubt.
Okay, and we got to congratulate our producer Scott McNally on his new child.
Yes, it was a beauty.
Stock, the custom grip,
9mm.
Beautiful little toy. I have news before we go. I almost forgot. I am registered to take my firearms and restricted firearms safety courses and get all my permits.
I know you told me that. I was so excited for you. I feel like you're slowly becoming American.
Well, I find there's a lot of things about being American that I feel are in me, with the whole like, fuck you, leave me alone. Yeah, all that. I love it. And up here, what's going on in Canada, I want to be a gun owner.
You should be a gun owner at this point.
You know, I grew up around guns, grew up on the farm, like I'm really gun friendly. So I'm going to get one. So let's do it. So I'm very happy to do that. And I can't wait to show everybody my card.
There we go. It's coming soon.
Okay. We'll see you again, Dusty. Let's do this up next week.
Absolutely.
Remember, like, share, subscribe, comment, ring the bell, and it's just bodybuilding.